Hi, good afternoon, Miss Watchner. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. So, as you know, we set a goal last week of improving your instructional norms in the classroom. I wanted you to work on I do, we do, you do. As you know, we've kind of had a bit of a struggle with the structure in your classroom, and we're working on that. What do you think made it successful implementing these steps and posting it for students?
Um, well, for one, it did give more structure,
Okay.
and I know I like to be friendly with my students, and sometimes I don't have too much structure like they need. So it definitely helped provide that structure, um, because once it's structure, it allows me to be able to fully get through a lesson without all constant interruptions.
Okay, that makes sense. And one thing I did want to highlight is I want to dive in specifically to the you do part of the instruction because I feel like you really do have the teaching chops per se. I feel like when it comes to content, you did get all the effectives on that. I feel like you know your content, you know your stuff, so to speak. So what I want to work on today is the you do component when you're kind of devising your small groups and you're working on that part. Um, so what did you notice, and what do you want to see when it is the you do component? What do you feel like you
So
should
the
be seeing?
you do part, you mean by when the kids are working like independently or like in groups?
Yes, because I noticed when you had it stepped up and you have the I do and we do, they are focused on you. They know the objectives. They're working through Eureka very gracefully. I think there's much more structure. So what do you want to see when it's the you do component?
I think some of them weren't always focused on the actual task at hand. So I probably need more structure within the groups themselves.
Okay.
I haven't really thought that much of how that structure is going to look like, but just
Okay.
offhand, I probably need to assign roles for certain people in the group,
I think that's
and
a good
I think
idea.
that might help keep them on focus and hold
Sure.
the kids accountable.
Oh, sure. Okay, and I want to kind of connect that back to the PDs. When we go back and we're thinking about being a model school and having our group leaders come in and we have, we're sitting at the round tables and we're with our colleagues from Eureka and EL. They talk about microphases, they talk about collecting data. So I kind of wanted to really focus back on that, on the aspect of small group. And we've heard a couple different strategies. I know when our master teachers have met, Miss Peel and Miss Williams, they offered a couple different strategies. Do you recall those strategies about grouping?
Yes. I mean, I know middle school is a little bit more challenging for grouping because, the students are larger and larger class sizes than like elementary school, but I do remember.
Okay, so I know Miss Peel gave a pretty good suggestion about creating centers.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're going to have your own personal center, right? And you're going to kind of draw on the kids that didn't understand during the I do or the we do. And you're also going to base that on the data from your tickets, whether it's your entrance ticket or your exit ticket going back into Eureka. Do you remember that a little bit?
Yeah, because really, I mean, I put the kids in groups, but they're all kind of working on the same things.
Right.
So in terms of
and I'm going to stop you right there, Miss Watchner.
Yeah.
Because that's not individualizing instruction.
Mm-hmm.
And I know you're trying. I really see improvements. I don't want to get away from it being positive, but I really want to let you know that with math, it's specific skill sets, and they're kind of not at all doing the same thing, and that's where we need to vary it up with our centers or our workshop.
With like some doing the iReady lesson.
Absolutely.
And
And you can pull from your toolkit. We'll get into that in just a moment, but I just want you also to kind of think back of what our master teacher, Miss Williams, said. She kind of had the one-on-one model, which, that's feasible too. So I guess right now I'm kind of wondering, which is it that you would like to pick? Because we're really focusing on the you do. Like I said, you have the I do and the we do down. You know your lessons, you know your content, you're able to get on Eureka and kind of glean. Your lesson plans look really stellar to me. I think it's just when we get to the you do, we kind of lose our students.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. That's probably where I do need to focus on is the you do and how to set up my small groups.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess I want to kind of know like what you see as the gap between that PD and what you're doing right now.
Well, like I mentioned, basically I'm putting them in groups, but they're all working on the same task. So I need to create different groups where there's different tasks.
I agree.
Mm-hmm.
So we're kind of at the do it part of this protocol that we're working on together right now, and I'm kind of wondering, where do you think would be a good place to implement this for upcoming lessons? Like, how do you see this flowing into your lessons?
Well, during my small group instructional time.
Okay, and you know that I, as the principal, have put that in your lesson planning template, the SGI, and we have the coursework, so you know there's a good place for that.
Yeah, so I think what I'm gonna do is definitely identify the students and list them this time. Like
Oh, yes.
who's in what group.
Okay,
and
great.
The different rotations of the group. You know I need to do something more like what they do in elementary school.
That's going to
From
help
the
your
PD
students
that-
too.
Yeah.
That's going to help them be organized, and that's really going to help them, Ms. Watchter, because honestly, if they know where they are and you have them organized with specific lessons, it's going to be a little more timely. But we have teachers here, Ms. Becker being a great example. She has her little scoreboard, and then they have their kind of little do nows, and they X off what they are to do, or other teachers I've seen fashion a list, then they're able to go through it. But you as the teacher, when you have your teacher small group station, you've got to be really hyper-focused on what it is that you want to get out of them. Are you working on an iReady toolkit objective, or is it an upcoming PSAT objective that you're working on? So I want you really to focus on your small group and centers as well, so they're really benefiting the students. So what I'm telling you is it's going to be a lot of extra work. And I do see you probably spending a couple hours, but you have your Master Teacher Williams, Master Teacher Peel, they're going to be able to help you. And I think that they're going to be able to kind of help you write up the plan. And so I guess we've kind of went through this, but when we're making our step and our action plan, what do you think is most important when we're working on this you-do component? I want you to kind of fashion an action plan for me right now.
The most important would be to identify my groups.
Absolutely.
Based on their scores.
Okay, and what scores?
I would use their iReady scores.
Okay. Anything else, or do you think that just purely iReady?
I think it would be a combination of like the assessments that I give in the classroom as well.
Okay.
And those groups would probably be ever changing, ever evolving, week by week, on their progress. But initially, it probably would be set up by their pre-test and their iReady.
Okay, so you're saying that the groups are going to be fluid, that I'm able to kind of maybe place one in this group versus that. Okay. I think that that's a good way of planning, because if your groups are stagnant, maybe the kids don't feel like they're moving or progressing. So that is a great suggestion.
And then, so identify the students.
Yes, that's action step
and then
one.
Create the different grouping or stations.
Yup.
Like you say, the teacher-led station, the iReady station, where they're actually doing the lessons.
Okay, and do you have maybe one more?
Yeah.
Do you want to do like a PSAT prep, or we have those wonderful books?
Yeah,
maybe?
because I have some students that are advanced level.
Okay.
So yeah.
And then those could actually be student-led, and then that gives your students more of a leadership role in the class.
Okay.
So I think this is a really good action plan. You said identify students, you're going to create the groups and give them the certain stations. One of your groups is going to be teacher-led. You said that you'll use iReady data to kind of run these groups. They can be fluid. And then also you said that with the PSAT group, we kind of decided that together that you may have that student-led. So there's more of a buy-in. All right, so now that we've made our plan, I kind of want you to practice and kind of show me what you would do. Like how, like from start to finish, just kind of show me how you're going to lead
what's
it.
important is once I identify the groups, I'll have it like posted. Like let's say something like this, posted, and group one will rotate to this group today or this group today.
Yes.
They may not necessarily get to rotate to all the groups in one day.
Right.
Depending on the time, like 15 to 20 minutes. But at least it'll be identified for the kids, and there'll be a timer so that they'll know which group to go to next.
I agree with that. Okay, and just a few last things here, because I think we have a great plan. I think your action plan is excellent. I think that we practice it. What is the gap that you've seen between what happened today and that PD that we had with Eureka and Best Practices, where we were kind of doing the model school PD and you had the master teachers? and we were talking about small group, what gap did you notice
I mean,
as opposed to your class
the
today?
groups were not differentiated. Really.
No, they weren't. So what are we going to do to kind of change that?
Differentiate.
That's right. Thank
Here on
you.
out.
And I do kind of just want to present for the evidence, like we said, your instructional components were very, very good. You had effectives on all those. And I just think that what we need to do is in the future to kind of glean from the data and really have your groups fluid and have a real solid you do plan, because I think we have the I do and the we do. I think we lose our students at the you do piece. And so based on what we've discussed today, what do you think your next action steps are going to be? I think we have kind of quite a few, don't we?
Yeah. Well, basically, like we said, I'm gonna identify the students and then create the groups.
I think you have a heavy lift here at Miss Watchter, but I think it's doable. I think that you have great resources of master teachers. I think what you're going to be able to do is really glean from them. And I'm also going to put one other thing on the plate for you. I'm going to have you go ahead and watch Master Teacher Peel's small groups. She does an excellent job. And it is for younger students. It's 5th grade, but I think you could get a feel for that. And then I'm also going to have you watch Master Teacher Williams, because she kind of has a variation where she does 1 or 2 students at a time. So I just want you to see a couple different models, and I think that you have a great plan, and I think we're really going to see our data blossom if we stick to individualized lessons and we really plan for our students.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Have a great day.
You too.